Recording's in progress.
You're good to start.
Okay, this is the Commission on Police Practices meeting of Wednesday, June the 4th, 2025. And if we could have a roll call.
Okay. Chair Case,
Present.
thank you. First Vice Chair Rodriguez. Here. Thank you. Second Vice Chair Honore.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Armentrout.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Benitez. Here. Thank you. Commissioner Byron.
Here.
Commissioner Canton.
Here.
Commissioner Chafsky.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz. Here. Commissioner Flores is not here yet. Commissioner Hardy.
Here.
Commissioner Lawton.
Here.
Commissioner Molnar.
Here.
Commissioner Robinson. Thank you, and that concludes roll call.
Okay, the Commission on Police Practices, the CPP, serves as an independent community oversight body for the San Diego Police Department. The commission holds investigatory review and auditing authority. Its mission is to hold law enforcement accountable to the community and to increase community trust in law enforcement, resulting in increased safety for both the community and law enforcement. The CPP is composed of 25 community volunteers known as commissioners who bring diverse perspectives from various backgrounds, experiences, and geographical areas. Although Measure B granted the CPP independent investigative powers, the commission currently cannot conduct independent investigations. This limitation exists due to the city's ongoing negotiation process with the Police Officers Association, known as the POA. And this negotiation process is referred to as the meet and confer process. As such, the CPP can only evaluate complaints based on information provided by SDPD's Internal Affairs Division and is unable to make factual determinations or alter investigative outcomes independently. Additionally, it is important to note that the CPP commissioners cannot comment or address specific complaints presented during regular business meetings. To file a complaint, please contact the CPP staff directly. The commission is dedicated to ensuring that all community members who attend its meetings have the opportunity to participate. During regular CPP business meetings with no closed session, members of the public may provide a 3-minute non-agenda public comment either at the beginning or at the end of the meeting, but not both. During the regular business meetings with a closed session, members of the public may only provide non-agenda public comment at the beginning of the meeting. Please note that under the Brown Act, California's open meeting law, while the commission can't take actions or discuss items not on the agenda, it can briefly respond to comments or questions on matters not on the agenda, but no discussion is permitted. If you are joining us in person, please complete a speaker slip and specify which non-agenda public comment you wish to speak during. For those participating virtually, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom during the section in which you would like to speak. Non-agenda public comments pertain to matters not on the agenda. Members of the public also have the opportunity to comment on items on the agenda. When making comments, members of the public must remain relevant to the specific item they are addressing. Otherwise, they will be asked to conclude their remarks. Public comment on items listed on the agenda will generally follow any presentations and occur before commissioner comments and debate. For reports from officers, staff, and committee chairs, public comment will take place after the report. For questions regarding public comment procedures, please speak with our community engagement coordinator, Ms. O'B, who's there. Raise your hand. I would like to remind our commissioners and staff to speak directly into the microphones and to identify themselves to ensure that members of the public participating virtually can hear and understand us clearly. So we appreciate your participation and engagement, and thank you for being here. Okay. So our first item of business will be the approval of the minutes of May 7th. Are there any corrections or changes to? Yes, Commissioner Wright.
Yes, for minutes, the meeting that took place on May 7th, under item number 8, new business. Item A says, the last sentence, the commission unanimously agreed to implement this proposal, not to implement this proposal and continue with current practices. However, I was not aware of a motion or a vote that would indicate that there was unanimous agreement from the commission. I think that might be more accurately read that the commission chose to take no action. But there was not any apparent agreement that was come to officially, so that's correct. That's one of the four.
That's fine. There was no motion. I think nobody wanted to make a motion. That's why that was that, but your wording is fine.
All right, and then under item C, the requested support, AB 847, the vote reads 11-1-0, but the statement thereafter says, it counts 0 nays and 1 abstention. So I think that vote should actually be 11-0-1. Then, for the meeting of May 21st, also item number 8. Under section A. The second virtual comment. Virtual public comment, Darwin Fisherman requested a letter from the CPP regarding her case. I believe that was Patricia DeArmond who requested that letter, not Dr. Fisherman. Closed session, even though it says closed session, I'm sorry, item number 7. Letter A, public comment, the second virtual public comment. Says Darwin Fisherman, timestamp 30:56. Requested a letter from the CPP regarding her case. Darwin Fisherman actually identified himself as he and his. And I went back to the video. That's Patricia DeArmond, not Dr. Fisherman. And that's it for me.
Commissioner Byer?
I just have a item, Zello. May 7th. Item 9, subsection B, it says that I reported that the next committee meeting would be on April 10th. Actually, I said that was prior meeting. So it should read that the last meeting was on April 10th. Next sentence. That's it.
Okay, with those corrections, is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 7th as corrected? Okay, moved by Commissioner Benitez, seconded by First Vice Chair Rodriguez. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions, so it looks like that carries unanimously. And now we'll do the minutes of May 21st. We are looking. Motion by First Vice Chair Rodriguez, seconded by Commissioner Benitez. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, abstentions, that also carries unanimously. Okay, so next is our non-agenda public comment. Turn it over to our community engagement coordinator to call an individual.
Thank you, Chair. For those joining us in person, you will be using the podium over there. There's a microphone on the podium that has a red light. When you click on the red light, it will go green. That's when you know you can speak into the microphone. You'll have 3 minutes each. We'll start with Paloma Serna. You have 3 minutes.
Well, my name is Paloma Serna. I'm the mother of Elisa Serna, who died November 11, 2019 in Las Colinas Jail due to the neglect by deputies Lucas Lacy Lovisa, Tony Hall Bennett, nurse Dana Lee Pasquale, and doctors Carol Gilmore and Frederic Van Lente. I am with Signal Lights in Custody, California, and North County Equity and Justice Coalition. I'm here today to speak about the killing of Christopher DeArmond by San Diego Police in January 2023. This was a pretext stop that escalated into another fatal police shooting. From the beginning, this situation was handled with aggression, not de-escalation. The SDPD release video shows that, the SDPD release video showed that Christopher was already shot and dying, yet a K-9 was still released on him. Why was more harm inflicted when he was already unresponsive? And why did every officer on scene deny him medical attention as he lay bleeding out? Not one person made an effort to save his life. That is not protocol, it's cruelty. Even more disturbing is the fact that one officer used a personal hollow point bullet ammunition designed not just to stop, but to kill. That officer made a clear decision. Whoever he shot wasn't going to survive. Why are officers allowed to bring their own lethal ammunition on duty? This isn't public safety, it's a license to kill. Christopher DeArmond should be alive today, just like my daughter Elisa. His death was preventable. We need independent investigation, not the sheriff department, who we all know who are killing many of our loved ones behind bars. A ban on pretext stop, a real limit on the use of force and weapon officers are allowed to carry. How many more families have to suffer before San Diego enact real change? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dave DeArmond. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I used to think and hope that the CPP was a professional organization. However, now I have serious doubts. You see, yesterday I received an email from them at 5 p.m. with an opening, "Good morning, Mr. DeArmond," at 5 p.m. So I'm not sure what time zone CPP is in, but they're not in my time zone. Their letter was a scant 2.5 pages in length, stating my son's case had been reviewed by them in February, and yet I received this letter in June. Not sure what month CPP is on either, nor the delay in the response. The letter went on to note only 3 items of concern regarding the death of my son by the San Diego police. Note, the official police report is 500 pages long. Their first item stated that the department had discharged their firearms. No kidding. Not sure what that's even in the CPP report. He received over 28 rounds. The second item stated unauthorized, non-departmental issued ammunition was used, hollow point bullets, which were used on my son's body. This is unauthorized and CPP concurred. I might add that such ammunition is prohibited for use by our own military forces, this due to the horrific damage caused to the human body. The third item cited their annual certification. Not even sure why CPP's got that in there. I didn't ask about their annual requirements. It is clearly evident to me the CPP's investigation was at best incomplete. There are many other areas concerned regarding the death of my son. I actually have a list of 70 items, which includes the excessive premature use of deadly force, deployment of K-9 to test for compliance. Absurd considering he had received over 28 bullets, and the fact that my son had screamed, "I can't move." I might add that the use of K-9, many law enforcement circles, is itself deadly force. Another reprehensible fact is that the officers told the fire department to stand down, holding my son's body to the street, denying him medical care, while telling him the whole time, medics are on the way, be still. They allowed him to bleed out and die on the cold street that night. My son did not deserve to have his rights violated. The escalation of this incident by inexperienced officers to the point of a fight or flight response from my son. Ultimately, he was murdered over a minor equipment malfunction and inoperable third brake light. True, my son had a gun, allegedly shot or pointed. However, as he exited the truck, he stumbled, fell, and dropped the weapon. Unarmed, he was no threat to no one. Absolutely no reason why sworn officers, sworn to protect and serve, could not have moved in, handcuffed him, and then applied life-saving measures. Bradley's officers, including Sergeant Rene Murillo, 17-year veteran, made a conscious decision to serve as both judge and jury that my son would die that night. Bravery should be a quality of police. That night, nothing but fear was exercised by San Diego Police Department and the cowards that manned that organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is David Rico. You have 3 minutes.
I want to say that, the Commission on, Police Practices, apparently I thought that you guys would, review these cases, but you don't review these cases yourselves. It seems that you guys, have somebody else review them and then come up with a written statement, especially for Chris DeArmond's, case. And, you have somebody else do it and then you discuss with each other about what the written statement is. Then you include information and work that none of you did, because I have the case right here, as a matter of fact, 500 pages, and none of you guys went and reviewed any of those pages. You had somebody else do it. The general counsel, whoever that is, appointed commissioners. Who are these appointed commissioners? And why are they the only ones doing the review and the work? Why are you guys not doing the work? You know, this is ridiculous. Are you guys wasting our time? We came to you, to this body, not to report to us what internal affairs is determined. We came for you for a fresh pair of eyes to look at and review this case to see if what was wrong, not look at somebody else's findings or reports. That's laziness to me. What do you, we don't need that. We can get that ourselves. We came to you. You guys didn't come say, let's review this and then giving us information that you decided to give us. We came to you for some clarity, for some transparency, and we got nothing but a lazy reporting and letting us know about things that other reports that had said. I can't believe this. I feel like this is a waste of our time. I feel like this is a waste of our tax-paying money, even having this body here. And matter of fact, this officer that was involved in this, Mr. Aguilar, he's on the streets right now. And he goes to Chicano Park harassing right now to this day, and we're recording it. We're gonna show you guys this collection that we have of him antagonizing and bothering people that are just, you know, outside, flashing at his light, blinding us. He's out there still on the street. This murderer, playing around, targeting our people, harassing us. We came to you because we thought maybe you guys could do something about it, or at least give a review or some sort of a fresh look at this case. But I seriously, I don't know if the city of San Diego is knowing that this is going on. But you let us know things that by law you had comments in a closed session, but you can't tell us the comments. Then why even tell us that you're having a comment if we can never see it or we can never hear it? What's the point? Don't even say nothing. Just say we had a closed session and that's it. It's almost like you're gaining a little bit of transparency to the people that are asking for it, but you're not giving it fully. That doesn't make any sense. City of San Diego is wasting our taxpaying money, I think, because this doesn't seem to be working. Now I understand why Paul Walker and these other commissioners just dropped out because of this. I can't believe this. I was hoping that there would be some change here, but you know, this is embarrassing, man. Justice for Christopher DeArmond.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Patty DeArmond. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, everybody. So to my surprise, this case review letter came to my dad's name to our address. Mind you, my dad's submission is over 2 years ago with no response from you guys. Mine was just submitted last October. We're in June. And this is the best you can give my family? Do you know how hard we've had to fight for justice for my brother? And to hold these cops accountable when nobody is willing to do their job and hold them accountable. They are murderers. This is an injustice. The missing parts of this report are the part of the pretext, stop possible gang stalking, OC frame my brother in the face after witnessing who had put the vehicle in the drive. A police pursuit followed by an excessive shooting, canine and refusing medical aid. Why aren't any of those part of these? Why is it not in here? It happened. Do your jobs. Make SCPP do their jobs right. And hold them accountable when they don't. We are come here, we take time out of our day after a long day of work. I'm sick, I don't feel well, I have a daughter at home waiting for me, and here I am spinning my wheels to a room full of people that don't do anything for us. Make a change in the system. Do a fair case review. This is not thorough. And these are lies that you're telling the people that you review all evidence. No, you don't, because if you had, this would be in the report. And by the way, on the CPP website, with your guys' case findings, that hasn't been updated since 2022. There is January 20, 2023. Man, what is the point of you guys here? What are you willing to do? Nothing, exactly, except waste our time, pretend like you're listening to us when you're not. Everything you said at all of these meetings has gone from one ear out the other and swept under the rug. This should be in the report, all of it. Justice for my brother, and you guys need to start doing your job. We need to start complaining about you guys and taking a notch higher to the city council, because clearly you guys are powerless.
Thank you. This completes in-person public comment. We have 3 virtual participants. The first speaker, Cindy, please raise your okay, sorry, we have you at the next item, not non-agenda, but go ahead. No.
Thank you. Francine Maxwell, Southeastern San Diego resident. I wanted to make sure, if I've never said thank you for making sure that you have public comment at the end. I wanted to make sure that I told you thank you tonight, because my girlfriend, she's with her son at an event and she's not gonna be able to come. And hopefully she'll be able to chime in at the end of the non-agenda public comment. So I want to give you kudos for opening space to make sure that there's 2 opportunities. I'm concerned that we are absolutely going around in a hamster wheel, and we need to consider pulling in the Human Relations Commission, because they don't do anything. And because we are trying to build a bridge with the San Diego Police Department, build trust, transparency with the community, I think it would be an opportunity for us to collaborate in some type of town hall or community meeting with our CPP and the Human Relations Commissions of San Diego, because we also help people fill out a complaint form for the Human Relations Commission. So if we can begin to start to collaborate, that would be good. Also, I noticed on the agenda that you're gonna do something in July and I won't be here. So I want you to know and keep notes that my 90, if I have an Obama phone, I can't receive a text. So I've been mistreated by the police department, and my interaction with that police officer, you can't send that text to the Obama phone. And many of my unsheltered have an Obama phone. And so the data is gonna be skewed. Again, Chief Wall needs to do more community engagements meeting and come and field and smoke. He needs to stop pretending and hiding behind data-driven, the latest and the greatest technology. Come out, have a series, and feel the heat. Again, the data is going to be skewed with nothing but people that have Verizon, T-Mobile, Cox, wireless cell phones. So I just want the CPP to understand when somebody tells you something, it's not completely accurate, because they are not impacting the people that really have the complaints. And the way that you do that is good old boots on the ground, person to person, face to face, so that the notes can be taken and things can be changed. Again, We wanna keep purchasing things with our tax dollars, but my 90, there is a flaw already. And I want you to ask the good questions in July when you get the presentation and ask what are the other resources that you, human relations, could collaboratively get together to bring the police department to the citizens on a rolling basis. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment. We'll move on to our virtual public comment. If you are joining us virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature in the Zoom. We'll start with our first speaker, Darwin Fishman. You have 3 minutes. Please unmute.
Thank you. Good evening. Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, Racial Justice
One moment,
Coalition.
Darwin. We can't hear you.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
No, because he was talking, so just check.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Darwin Fishman.
One moment, Darwin. We can't hear you yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing for a quick second. Make sure. Oh, this is on there.
You can hit stop sharing.
Speaker, oh, speaker. Is that this one? Is that the one?
Probably so.
Just gonna test it. Sorry, I feel like it's gonna be loud. Okay, then don't try.
Go ahead. Darwin, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Please proceed. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, with the Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. And I did want to follow up with what Patricia Armand said about her brother, Chris. And I just want to share this part, which is, and I know that those of you on the CPP, you know this, but having the experience of being on the old CRB, it really is issue of all eyes are on you, and you're the representative of the civilian oversight, for better or worse. And of course, with that comes with a lot of criticism and also very high expectations. And having the experience of reviewing cases before and dealing with ones that start with, and unfortunately this is typical with what is clearly racial profiling, you get into a whole bunch of other different issues that have to be addressed and looked at. From the community standpoint, and this is why you're getting the comments you're getting, and family members and community members are so upset and so worried about this case, is that it does look like the typical experience for a lot of Black and brown youth and young adults in the city, where they're getting picked on and they're being pulled over for no apparent reason. And it looks like the police are trying to start something. And this one, of course, in a tragedy, Christopher being killed, and it really didn't have to be the case. And hopefully you guys will be hardcore about the policies and the work that we've done on things like racial profiling, as well as things like also de-escalation and use of lethal force, and being clear about what the standards are. Are the lives of folks in places like Southeast San Diego valuable? Are they worthwhile? And what are you going to do to ensure that the police follow their procedures and policies, and ones that have been developed over the years with things like CRB and now with you guys, CPP? Because if you don't hold them accountable for what's been established, then you're going to keep getting on cases like this where people are being killed unnecessarily. And you're also going to get outrage from the community, which ultimately weakens the community relationships with the police and what the law enforcement says that is so meaningful and significant to them. So I really hope that you take this seriously. It's clear this has been botched. It's not your responsibility in the sense of the staff, the messages that have been sent to the family, the way the investigation's been conducted by IA. Ultimately, someone needs to take responsibility, be held accountable for how horrible that process has been, and show that you guys can do better, that you take these complaints seriously, and that you understand that many of these situations, many things that happen, completely unnecessary, and that things need to improve and get better. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Yusuf Miller. Please unmute.
Hi, this is Yusuf Miller. Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, Yusuf Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. Justice for Christian DeArmond. Chris DeArmond did not have to lose his life. We see where the CPP does their investigations on most parts, but not the parts that really matter to the family. For example, where is the investigation on the right to deliver life-saving measures to this man as he lied dying? We did you did speak about and think about the weaponry that was used against Christian DeArmond that made larger than usual holes in his body, but no right to his self for care to render aid. This this is primary because now the man is left to die, and while he's dying, for insult to injury, canines are put on him and bit him and dragging him while he's dying instead of giving him life-saving measures. We've talked about canines and the use of canines right here at CPP. We've talked about the pretext stops of citizens right here at CPP. They stopped him for something that he did not have to lose his life for. So when we look at this in total, we see that there's still something that stinks in this case. This is a test case that we could look at multiple aspects of failure, which cost us Christian DeArmond's life. And this is what the pressure and the pain and the anxiety that you see and hear from the father and the mother and Paloma Serna, who's also lost loved ones. You hear of this frustration is because the whole case is not even being discussed. So if they can only give you, the CPP, the things that they find relevant to investigate, what about the other things that the families are complaining about? The right to receive aid as he's laying dying, the unnecessary use of attack dogs on him as he's laying dying. The pretext stop that started all of this and escalated it. What about those parts? I understand that you have a job to do and there's a certain mechanism that you work in. But that mechanism, if it doesn't meet the needs of the community, then that mechanism is wrong. We have to just start looking at that and consider that and revamp that mechanism if it doesn't reach the needs of the community. And the Armond family needs have not been met. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cindy Nunes. You have 3 minutes. Please unmute.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Yes, so my name's Cindy Nunez. I'm the sister of Francisco Nunez, who was also brutally murdered by LASD here in Los Angeles in March 2024. Today, I just wanted to speak with a very heavy heart for Chris DeArmond, his life taken by San Diego police. We've all watched the body cam footage, and it was very disturbing to watch SDPD not rendering medical aid in the state that Chris was in after being shot that many times. You guys have all watched it as well. They could have saved his life. I mean, the fact that he wasn't able to even get rendered medical care, that was, come on, this didn't have to happen to him. Chris was more than a headline. He was loved by his family. He had a future and he mattered deeply to the people who knew him. His father is present in front of you today, a retired Navy veteran, someone who gave so much to this country, and now he's left grieving a son who was taken with no justice, no answers, and no accountability. How is that a man who served this nation now has to fight for basic dignity for his son? Chris's death has been mishandled from the very beginning, and what his family has received from this city is silence, no transparency, and absolutely no compassion. Just a defeating pain of being ignored. This isn't just about policy, this is about people, about families shattered, about fathers and mothers who wake up every day knowing they'll never see their child again and still have to fight to prove their life was worth something. Chris deserved to grow old. His father deserved to be proud of him, not heartbroken. And this commission, you have the power to help ensure that this doesn't happen again. Please don't let this be another story you guys just sweep away. See Chris, listen to his story, say his name, go home and ask yourself if you really did the best you could for the DeArmond family. and act like his life mattered, because it mattered to his father, it mattered to his sister that's sitting right there in front of you, and it mattered to his mother, and it matters to all of us that stand behind him. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes non-agenda public comment.
Okay, next is the chair report. As indicated on the agenda, the presentation on the SDPD's Mine 90 program has been postponed until next month because the person in charge of that program is at the FBI Academy this month. It's also been suggested that we invite the department to come and talk to us about the new encryption policy for their scanners. You probably read about that in the paper. And I know there's quite a bit of interest in that, so we'll try to schedule somebody from the department to talk about that at a future meeting as well. And finally, the city council is going to be filling some vacancies at their meeting on July the 1st. The applicants include one person from D3. And a reappointment from D5. 8 applicants for 3 seats at large. 2 nominees for 2 seats for the low and moderate income, and 1 nominee for the 2 vacant seats, 2 vacant youth seats. So that will occur at the meeting on July 1, and then they will post the remaining vacancies and subsequently fill the other vacancies. And that's all I have. Is there any public comment?
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature on the Zoom. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you, Chair.
This is the interim executive director and general counsel Bart Meesfield. Just one brief item to advise. Yesterday, we started the meet and confer process on the Gov TV contract for the production and broadcasting of future meetings. I think it went well. They are interested in our case because of all the commissions that the city has and boards had, they're all doing the same thing that we're doing, which is limping along using staff. And so we're kind of a test case. So it may be difficult from that standpoint, but I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get through it relatively quickly and then move forward with the procurement of the contract. Oh, I also did hear back. You'll recall that the commission authorized us to submit our request to sign a letter in support of AB 847. And the city requires that we go through the process through the Government Affairs Office to do that. I submitted a request to do that literally the day the commission authorized me to do it. And I heard back from the director of that department, Walter Bishop, with a short, they declined to take up the issue at this time.
Okay, next is the executive committee report. And so items that are not already on the agenda, we're planning on doing I'm sorry about that. I will now turn it over to our community engagement coordinator, who's going to give us an update of outreach activities.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, commissioners and members of the public. I'm going to keep this short, but there's a written version of this in your agenda or on the table over there for those who would like to receive all the details. I just want to say that since January 1st, we made an effort to reach out to 169 neighborhood associations and community planning groups in the city of San Diego, which has been incredible. We've received responses from 47 of them and completed 27 presentations to this date. And we have additional 18 presentations scheduled, which is incredible as well. I want to give a huge shout out to our wonderful intern, Kelsey Gans, who has been the person who's handled all the behind the scenes in reaching out to these neighborhood associations, doing the research on who is the actual chair and communicating with them, coordinating and making sure that we get on the agenda and giving me all the details we need. So shout out to Kelsey for all her incredible work in making this happen. I want to urge all of you to participate and be a part of those presentations, whether by joining us to observe these presentations or just share your personal experience or give the presentations on your own when you feel comfortable. And I also want to mention that you can do that by visiting the live calendar that I provided to you all via email on May 21st. If you need support accessing that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do that and help you access it and sign up for presentations. Finally, we're also hosting community booths. We have one tomorrow at City College. Anyone interested, feel free to reach out to me to join. And we have a second one on June 21st for a Juneteenth celebration. So if you also would like to join that, please reach out to me. Thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your meeting.
I might note that I had a recent conversation with the mayor who is aware of all of our community outreach and complimented us on doing that. So thank you, Yasmin, and the outreach committee for coordinating that. Now we'll move on to the executive committee report and the items that are not already on the agenda. The first is at our July 2nd meeting, we're going to have a conflict of interest workshop because there's been several questions and confusion as to what constitutes a conflict of interest with regard to reviewing cases and requirements for recusal and so forth. And so we're going to have our general counsel, I could be working in that capacity then, talking about what constitutes a conflict of interest, and we'll discuss some scenarios and come to a consensus. And then after that, we will redraft the conflict of interest policy to try to clarify anything that seems to be ambiguous. Secondly, Commissioner Caskey brought to our attention some news coverage regarding police overtime, and particularly issues with regard to police performance when they have excessive overtime. And that's an issue that we want to also discuss, maybe put it on the agenda for the meeting, and may also want to have the department be able to give us some information as well. That also is a potential agenda item for July 2nd. Our July 2nd attention is filling up fast, but they're really important topics. Is there any public comment on that?
Yes, we have one in-person public comment about the chair's report, the executive committee report. Paloma, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. So it just, we just, I think it's very insensitive, here, not only I, but, we have the family of DeArmond here, they're pouring out their heart and frustration with you guys, and just to, just whatever item, so many items afterwards, of the public comment. You guys are talking about community outreach. What's the purpose of community outreach if the community were to come, they come here and they express their frustration, the need of help? So what's the purpose? What's the goal of the community outreach? And then also to the conflict of interest policy, is that also with sheriff investigating the police and the police, vice versa? That's a big conflict of interest, and so it's very confusing to me, frustrating, to hear, that you're gonna be talking about would be policy, overtime policy. Is that, I know these are important issues, but people are dying, our loved ones are dying, our friends, our brothers, our mothers, sisters. I have my Elisa's daughter here. Her mother died when she was 3.5 years old. Now she's 9. And she had to come with me wherever, we live in Montana. I'm living here half-time. You know, and when will our life ever become normal? It will not, because there's not gonna be a stop to this. We understand deaths are always going to take place, but preventable deaths could stop. So please help us. You know, community outreach, we're here, we're the community, help us. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're joining us, this completes in-person public comment. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, now we'll move on to the election of our 2025-26 officers. And so let me explain what the process will be. But first, I will call upon our nominating committee chair to give a report, including the list of the nominees. I will read from the bylaws of what the duties of each of the positions are. And then we will take public comment. And then we will consider the offices one by one. And for each office, we will take nominations from the floor. And then we will take all the nominees in the order they're listed on the nominating committee report. And each of them will have 1 minute to speak. All of them have submitted their survey responses, which are included in your packet. So that 1 minute should be an opportunity for them to kind of summarize that and mention their qualifications and what their goals are for the office. And we will have an opportunity for questions, up to 3 questions per candidate with 1 minute answers. We have a lot of candidates, which is a good thing, but it's going to take some time. So we want to keep it running efficiently. So no more than 3 questions and no more than 1 minute per answer. Then we will have a discussion, and then we will have the balloting, which by the Brown Act has to be done in open session. And so our executive assistant will call the roll, and each person will indicate who they're voting for. The chair will vote last, and so only vote if my vote make a difference. It takes a majority vote to be elected. If nobody gets a majority, then we will have a second ballot with the top 2 nominees, and if there's a tie for that, then it could be possibly 3 on the ballot, and we'll continue that until we have a person elected for each office. Any questions regarding the process? Okay, now I'll turn it over to Lupe Diaz, who will give the nominating committee report.
Hello, folks. I'm Lupe Diaz, a commissioner, chair of the nominating committee. We all got together, Commissioner Flores and Commissioner Armentrout. We formulated a questionnaire based on the NACO. They have a similar questionnaire for their nominating committee or the candidates. And the questionnaire focused on 6 key questions. One was the commission service, their background and their professional community background, alignment with the mission, the skills and qualities, leadership vision, collaboration and stewardship. And that's basically, those are the 5 or 6 key questions that were formulated. And I thank my 2 colleagues that worked together on this questionnaire. The nominees, the list of the nominees are for chair, Commissioner Ada Rodriguez. First vice chair, Commissioner Ada Rodriguez. And for vice chair, Commissioner Bonnie Benitez. And first vice chair, Commissioner Dan Lawton. And also Commissioner Stephen Chatsky. For second vice chair, Commissioner Clovis Honore. Commissioner Bonnie Benitez, Commissioner Alec Byer, Commissioner Dan Lawton, and Commissioner Darlene Moman. Those are the list of the nominees.
Thank you for the nominating committee for your excellent work. We appreciate it. Now reading the duties of each of the offices, the chair, and this is directly from the bylaws, says excuse me, chairs, all meetings are closed and open, of the commission, serves as the chair for, all meetings of the executive committee, serves as a member of the cabinet, sets the agenda for all commission, executive committee, and cabinet meetings in consultation with the executive director, acts as the spokesperson for the commission, to make official statements for the commission, or to delegate this responsibility to another commissioner, to coordinate with the executive director on communication between the commission and the mayor, the San Diego City Council, and the chief of police, to appoint the chairs of all committees of the commission, to be an ex officio member and ensure the effective functioning of all committees of the commission, and to perform other duties as may be conferred by a vote of the commission. The first vice chair responsibilities are to fulfill the duties of the chair in the absence of the chair, to serve as a member of the executive committee, to serve as a member of the cabinet, to oversee the training of new members with the training and continuing education committee, and to perform other duties as may be confirmed by a vote of the commission or as requested by the chair. And the second vice chair is to fulfill the duties of the chair in the absence of the chair and the first vice chair, to serve as the chair of the executive committee meeting in the absence of the chair and the first vice chair, to serve as a member of the executive committee, to serve as a member of the cabinet, to act or designate a parliamentarian for the commission. The proposed parliamentarian is subject to approval by a majority vote of the commission. To perform other duties that may be included by a vote of the commission or as requested by the chair. I will also note that the rules committee is looking at a major revamp of the bylaws, and so some of the duties of these officers may change over the course of time. And so at this point, do we have any public comment on the elections?
No in-person requests to speak on this item. If you are joining us virtually and would like to speak on this agenda item, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature in the Zoom. This completes public comment on this item. Thank you.
We move on to the election of chair. We have Commissioner Ada Rodriguez nominated. Are there any further nominations? Seeing no further nominations, the nominations are closed. And I'd like to call upon Commissioner Rodriguez to speak to us for a minute.
Thank you. I am humbled and honored to accept the chair on the CPP. Even though I was the only one to step forward, I do not take this responsibility lightly. This role is not about titles, it's about purpose, and that's one thing that I could confidently say that we all have here. And talking about purpose, my purpose is clear, to advocate fiercely for our community. I want to demand accountability and to ensure transparency at every level of law enforcement. We owe it to the people of San Diego to create a system that works for everyone. As chair, I will work to shine a light where others may want darkness. We will expose misconduct. We will identify those who wear the badge but do not embody the integrity, the honor, or the respect for human life that it demands. There's no room in our city for those who abuse their power or betray the trust of the communities they serve. This commission will not be a rubber stamp. It will be a voice for the unheard, a mirror for the system, and a force for change. I invite the public to hold us accountable, just as we hold our institutions accountable. One thing I will say is we hear you, we see you, and my top priority will be that we ensure to communicate better and more empathetically. And thank you for all your feedback, and let's get to work.
Any questions? See none. Is there an objection to doing this vote by acclamation? Okay, seeing that, I'll entertain a motion to elect by acclamation by Commissioner Robinson and seconded by Commissioner Flores Teresa Sandhurst. Okay, and so all those in favor of electing Ada Rodriguez as chair, please raise your hand. Any objections? Okay. You are elected as chair, and she will take office on July 1st. And I will be working with her to try to have a smooth transition between now and then. Okay, and so, my vision is not that great, but maybe I can see it. Anyways, we're gonna take her name off of the second vice chair. But first, are there any additional nominations for first vice chair?
Oh, I see this. Scroll down.
Seeing none, it looks like Commissioner Benitez is the first person on, oh, it's right here in front of me. This first person on the list, and so you have 1 minute.
I do not have prepared remarks. I think I included everything that I wanted to say in my written statement. But as we've been getting going here today, one of the notes that I've made for myself is about how we can best be present and sensitive to the members of the community who are bringing their tragedies to us, and also be able to get the work done of the body, of the sort of business of the commission, which they go hand in hand, but sometimes they feel very separate. And so I'm making a note for our next conversation about how we can better handle these transitions in a way that's more sensitive to our community members. I just want to say that I'm put my name in for first vice chair because I've been on the commission since we all got together in August of 2023. And my focus is on doing everything that we can to have a highly functioning commission and relationship with our staff as our staff is changing and growing, so that we can effectively meet our mandates, serve the community, hold the police department accountable, and work together as volunteers. And so, thank you.
Any questions for Commissioner Benitez? Okay, so it looks like next is Commissioner Dan Lawton.
I could say it, or I couldn't say what I wanted better than Bonnie Benitez said, what she said about herself. And I don't have anything to add to what's I filled out for the nominating committee, and so thank you for listening.
Any questions for Commissioner Lawton? Okay, so next is Commissioner Chasky.
Thank you. Well, I think I will follow Commissioner Lawton and Benitez and thank them. Well said. I think we all have the same purpose, and we each bring a little of our own spices. I think my spices may center on training and focusing on individual facts that bring out metaphorically what we need to do, what we need to be looking at. So if the police encrypt their communications, the metaphor there is they don't want us to hear. They really don't, at least at first glance. They may be compelled to do it by state law, but you know, if you look at the legislative history and everything else, we want to change that if we can, I think. My little resume took you, if you had a chance to read it, through the Cossacks, running through Russia and going after my grandmother. So I have kind of a familiar history with it, not that direct. It was my grandmother, but that's why she came to the United States. And that's shared probably by everyone in this room in some way or other. So let's get the job done. Let's review.
Any questions for Commissioner Chasky? I will note as to decide that everybody had an opportunity to read through all of the questionnaires. And I think that we're privileged to have so many qualified candidates running for office, and I was impressed by the responses, and I assume many of you were as well. So now we will proceed with the vote. Oh, I guess discussion, is there any discussion before we proceed with the vote? Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed with the vote.
Okay. I'll just call my last name. Okay, Rodriguez.
I pick one.
Yeah. I know.
This was hard. I think everyone's qualified, but I would say that, I picked the person that roles and leadership align with mine. So that would be Commissioner Bonnie.
Thank you. Okay, Honoré. You would go ahead and choose. Okay, Armentrout,
Lawton.
Benitez. I know. Benitez, okay. Fire. Hanson. Chatsky. Diaz. Thank you. Flores.
You all are very qualified. Appreciate you all. But I really don't want to say. Is that we really want to say.
Harvey.
Fine.
Lawton.
Bonnie.
Longmont. Thank you. And Robinson.
This.
There's vote is going to be required, and so if my stick figures are correct, it's 11 votes for Commissioner Benitez, 1 vote for Commissioner Lawton, and 1 vote for Commissioner Caskey. So congratulations. And we're making a good time here. So finally, we have the second vice chair. Are there any additional nominations for second vice chair? Okay, seeing none, the nominations are closed, and then we'll start with 1 minute from Commissioner Honor.
Thank you. Good evening. I don't have a lot more to say than I've already said over the time that I've been here, and you've heard all of that stuff. The only thing I would want to bring forward is my disposition that we contemplate that all of us are human beings, that the city, us as commissioners and the police department are all human beings, and that's who we're judging. In that the goal is for us to learn to figure out how to get this thing together, all together, so that the types of tragedies we keep hearing about will stop. It is not enough for us to simply really hold accountable for the events that take place, but to make change and to make significant change so that somewhere down the line, we don't hear the kinds of stories we're hearing. So that will be what I'll be focusing is on, making sure that we figure out how to put in place policies, practices, and accountability that changes the culture of the police department, but also helps the community at large to understand the work that we're trying to do here and to participate in it and to be instrumental.
Next is Commissioner Byer.
Yeah, we had to throw our names in the hat and write our little anthem before we knew who else was running. And now that I see who else is running, I think Commissioner Honoré or Commissioner Malmat would be the one that would be better than me. So I'm withdrawing my name and I'm going to vote for Commissioner Honoré.
Commissioner Byer. Commissioner Lawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything to add to what I said in my application. And I would echo again what Bonnie Benitez said at the top about the reasons that we're here and the things that I think we all want to do.
Okay, any questions? Okay, then finally, Commissioner Molmack.
So yes, I threw my hat in the ring also before I knew who all was going to be in. And while I am very organized and I have a lot of great ideas and I enjoy serving as the chair of committees, I don't think there's anyone more qualified than Clovis Honore to be the second vice chair, so I support him.
And so I will take that as you're withdrawing your. Okay. So that then leaves us with Commissioner Honore and Commissioner Lawton. Is there any discussion? Okay, then you could
Start back.
They're backwards.
So
Okay, sorry, just to make sure we have,
and Lawton, not Bonnie by her.
okay. Oh, I see, okay. Sorry, you can start, sorry, can I start from the top? No, sorry. Okay, Rodriguez,
Commissioner Clovis Honor.
Honorary. Armintrout,
Honore.
Benita,
Honor.
Fire. Hanson. Chatsky. Diaz. Flores. Harvey.
Commissioner.
Thank you. Lawton. Walnut.
All right.
Robbins. Thank you.
There's not required on this one either. And so it looks like that is unanimous for Clovis Honore, and I will tell the chair that he will keep you on your toes, and so if you will miss something parliamentary, trust me, he will keep us on our toes. He does a really good job of that, and I appreciate that. And that took less time than I thought, and I will say that I am thrilled with the new officers and feel really good about the future of the commission. And so looking forward to turning over the reins, but also the confidence, so we're going to continue to make progress. Did you ever hand raise?
This is a lot of work, and I encourage the new cabinet members to delegate. We're glad to help. We know it's too much work. We know no one has time to cover all this stuff, so feel free to delegate. And don't feel guilty if you can't get it all done.
Okay. So now we'll move on to the next item of business, which is recommendations to the San Diego Police Department regarding the complaint investigation system. And hopefully you all took time to read the memo that I sent out, and it responds to the first section of recommendations from Jerry Treat's audit. There were 17 recommendations, a couple of the recommendations to the commission rather than to the department. And then while we were working on that, Commissioner Flores took the initiative to do a analysis of the city of San Diego's complaint portal, which relates directly to this, and so we decided to include that with the same recommendations. So I guess we have a total of 18 items, and I don't want to take 18 votes because I think that most of these items we're going to have consensus on, and I also will say that the executive committee spent almost an hour going over all these and refining them and so forth. And so my thought was that I would give everybody a minute or two to look them over. If there's any you have questions about or objections to or want to further discuss, if you could identify them, and then we'll do a vote on the rest of them, kind of on the consent calendar type of thing. Then we'll go back and do the ones that are quote pulled from the consent calendar. And I will upfront say that the one item that I will pull will be item number 12, because at the executive committee meeting, we talked about several different options. We didn't come to a consensus. And so we need to come to a consensus there. And so, I think everybody has a copy of the packet. If you don't have a package, you can pick one up there. It's, I think, it's near the end. And so I'm gonna give everybody just a minute or two to look them over, and if you could identify any of the ones you want to further discuss or have concerns about.
I did, but I gave it back.
I just want to be clear, so you're including in the entire packet the report from Armando?
Yes.
Okay, I want to pull that just so that we have a little bit more discussion at a really high level. I'm looking at you. To talk about the key issues with the complaint portal. I really like your report, by the way, but to just sort of highlight from a user perspective, even just an average user perspective, let alone people who have language disability, accessibility things, some of the key problems there and why it's so important. So we can just take a minute to talk about that,
Okay.
or 3 or 5.
Okay, so we have item 12, I'm gonna call that item 18, yes.
Just to add to Bonnie's, like, what is the exact ask in a sentence?
Okay, we'll get to that, right?
You said-
But actually, if you look at the recommendation has 6 bullet points, and that is a summary of our ask. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. So are there any items other than 12, and I'm gonna call it 18, you want to discuss? Yes.
Let me, I might not understand the process, so you're including all of the guys' recommendations.
They're not the guy's recommendations, they're my recommendations as massaged by the executive committee. So,
All right, so my question then is on number 2. If we're not recommending changing anything, why do we have it in there?
I did it because it was in the report, and so I just wanted to.
That's what I mean, so you're doing his whole report,
Right,
whether we're recommending any changes or not to the police department.
right. And I think it was the only one where we didn't have any action on our part. The others, we all had action.
Right.
And so, yeah, and the process is gonna be that after tonight's meeting, I'm going to prepare a letter to the chief with all the recommendations. It'll be just, just the recommendations, and they'll have my memo and the analysis that Armando prepared as backup materials, and will be sent to the chief. But yeah, there won't be any action on 2, but I included it there because it was in the report. Okay? Any others, items you want to pull? Okay, and I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendations, with the exception of item 12 and item 18, which we'll discuss separately. Is there a motion to that effect? Okay. Okay, so moved by Commissioner Armantrout and seconded by Commissioner Molbach. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions, looks like that's unanimous.
No.
Oh, you opposed, I'm sorry. And so it, make a note that the Commissioner Lawton is in opposition. And before we get to the other 2, I want to say that there's a lot of really significant material in those recommendations. A lot of them are issues that we as a commission have been talking about for a long period of time. And so I think that that this is a really important step for the commission, and the chief, after I transmit the letter, will have 60 days to respond to us. Okay, then that brings us to item number 12, which is the issue of a conflict of interest. Let me just read it for the benefit of Jeva.
Background. I think I see a very serious problem with San Diego police complaint. I see a real problem with the San Diego Police Department complaint form as it paints the Commission on Police Practices. It gives an incorrect phone number and location. So any complaint that somebody goes to the San Diego Police Department for will be misdirected to an old address if they wish to file through the commission.
I'm not sure that's in finding 11.
No, I'm not sure where. I want to bring it up.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, when we get to that, well, I actually have a comment regarding that when we get to that, and so we'll do that as
where it's appropriate.
Okay, yes, okay, and so let me just read first from the finding from the audit report. That is, that SDPD should consider outsourcing complaint investigations to a trained and experienced civilian investigator in circumstances of department conflicts of interest in order to provide neutrality, eliminate actual and perceived conflicts of interest, and to provide the public greater confidence that such investigations are effectively conducted. And the recommendation that allegations involving members of SDPD command staff, IA staff, or members of their immediate family should be investigated by someone independent of IA. And it goes on to say the executive committee, so the first sentence is our recommendation, but the second sentence is how we go about doing that. And we talked about several different options. One is to refer those complaints to the city attorney's office, because the city attorney's office does investigations and is separate from the police department. Another option is to have a independent investigator, but chosen by the city attorney's office as opposed to being chosen by the police department. Another suggestion that came up was to refer it to another law enforcement agency, which I guess would also include the DA's department. And give a chance to see whether or not TOST would have the ability to do that.
I did do some research on this, and depending the state, city, they all do it differently. I've seen many cases, but to kind of summarize it, it appears that we can submit to the city council, and they would pay for it, an independent investigation. So that appears to be the way that most states go through. Some use DA, some states have used, if the state has a Bureau of Investigation, they have them for investigating, but the most, in my opinion, unbiased way to go about it is for the Commission on Police Practices to, if allowed, send a letter to the city council on what those complaints are and why we feel that a third-party investigation is warranted.
And we also asked our policy manager to see what other cities in California are doing. And at least as of yesterday, he had not found any cities that have a good written policy on how to handle it. And so we may be the first, which kind of is surprising to me because it seems like that would be a fairly common issue, is that how do you handle complaints against IA or complaints against the chief or the chief staff, but apparently there's not, at least in writing, the policy.
Just wanted to mention that I did look for quite a few hours and I was quite surprised the amount of like management in the police department, chiefs of police department getting investigated. So if you guys want to go on your own and also look what other states and cities do, please feel free and then come back with your feedback.
So we have a couple of options. One is to try to come to a consensus tonight as to what the alternative should be. Another would be to simply keep our first sentence saying that there's a conflict of interest for the department to conduct those investigations and to suggest alternatives, and then leave it to the department to decide which alternative they would choose. And so throw it open to discussion. Do you want to try to come to a consensus, or would you prefer to say that it needs to be something other than the department's internal affairs investigating itself or investigating the command staff?
I can wait. Well, I would like for us to send a recommendation. So I would like for us to discuss the best recommendation instead of just stating that they need to do something different.
And I'm just going to try to verify that. Well, two things. Do you have a suggestion? And
yes.
And so the first thing is, do you have a suggestion? The second, that should we give other options if they choose not to do that? So
I'm not sure about that, but I like for us to send a request, just as how we already are communicating in the city, to city council to get investigated outside of the city so that they can request an outside attorney. That's what I would suggest, is that we write the letter to say this is a conflict of interest and we would like for city council to decide on an outside attorney to investigate. Are you not understanding?
right, I understand. Okay, so but it's not going through post.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let me make sure I understand. So your suggestion is when there is a conflict, that the procedure should be that the CPP write a letter to the city council asking for an independent investigation. Is that correct?
I would prefer going through city council other than our city attorney.
Okay, and you want to make a motion, or do you want to have further discussion before we have a motion?
We could, if anyone wants to come further, I will put it on the floor that this is what I would like. I am making a motion for CPP to request to city council for outside attorney to investigate any conflict of interest in the San Diego Police Department, whether it's internal affairs, however that works.
Okay, is there a second to that? Seconded by Commissioner Chasky, and so now we'll talk about that motion. And it occurs to me that it may not even be something that we can include in our recommendations. That's a recommendation from us to the department, and so we don't have to. We can simply tell the department we're going to do that, as opposed to having a suggestion to them to allow us to do that. Okay, but anyway, so we're talking about that specific motion at this point in time. If you have a better idea, you can mention it and vote against that motion. But the motion, and we restate it on the floor, is that if there are those conflict of interest that are identified here, which would be the command staff, IA staff, or their immediate families, that the CPP would send a letter to the city council asking for an independent investigator. Is that correct? Okay, then I see Commissioner Chasky, I'm sorry, Commissioner Pyer, and then Commissioner Benitez. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't. Peripheral vision here, then if you were first, then we'll go that order. Commissioner Honore, Commissioner Pyer, then Commissioner Benitez.
I think this is a very important issue. We should pursue it diligently. However, I think we may be a little premature. The information we received so far is that we don't know what anybody else is doing. And if we're going to be the leaders on this particular issue, and I don't have any problem with that, I think, one, we need to do more investigation into the kinds of responses, even if it's not another police department, that somebody is doing in this context. And if I may interrupt my remarks for a moment, did we check with NACO? Did we get a response from NACO on how this is handled? So I think we need to do more investigation on how this can be handled before we make a vote on how we want to handle it. Also, we have people, we have community members here. And this is, I think, pretty critical. I think something we received at the last meeting was along these lines. And I think the community should have an opportunity to have some input as to how we approach this before we make a decision as the commission on these practices.
And second, procedurally, but let me go to Commissioner Byer and Commissioner Benitez.
I agree with Commissioner Robinson and Commissioner Honore. My addition would be that our recommendation would be that an independent investigator be appointed, whether it be an attorney or not, but someone who is independent of the city of San Diego. Not just kick it over to host or someone in the city attorney's office, someone including the city of San Diego. But otherwise, I agree completely with Commissioner Robinson.
Okay, is that okay with you?
That's exactly.
Okay, yeah, so unless there's an objection, we'll include that as part of the motion.
I just want some clarification because the language that's being used here is confusing to me. So is what is being suggested that we make a proposal to the city council for the city council to have the department make a policy change? Because if it's about when there's a complaint and there's a conflict internally, by the time it gets to us, it's a little late for us to do something. So I'm confused about, I can't see what's being proposed here. So I need some clarification. Does that make sense? Because by the time we get the complaint and identify that, oh, there was a conflict, it's already been through IA. Is that correct?
Yes.
No?
Yes and no. We will have the ability to do internal investigations as well. But we are informed of all complaints and eventually all internal investigations. And so we would be able to identify up front whether or not it would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, so on the research, I talked to Long Beach, Oakland, San Francisco on the phone, waiting for some other jurisdictions to get back to me. San Francisco, all of their investigations are third party, so to add that, but I think we do a little bit more investigation. I've reached out to some other jurisdictions and they'll get back to me. I'm gonna put something on the NACO listserv as well, and then I can get back to you guys in a week or two.
And so,
thanks for the clarification. Just to clarify what I meant is, not for the city council to ask the department. No, what I meant is conflict of interest within the department. So if there's a complaint, let's say towards a lieutenant or captain or somebody in internal affairs or the chief, at that point, it would be our duty to send that up to the city council for them to get the third party investigators to investigate.
So I have a question. I feel like we're being super cautious right now, and is it too bold to make a recommendation that whenever something like this occurs, that it's SDPD policy to get an outside investigator to do it? Not CPP making a request to the city council, but if there's a conflict of interest, just do it. I mean, are we being too cautious? Is my question.
I'm not sure we're necessarily being too cautious, which basically is what the first sentence says there. But we want to leave it up to the department to decide who gets to decide who that third party is. And that's the key issue. And so again, we have two options. One is to vote the motion on the floor up or down, or we can have a motion, which is what I think Commissioner Honore was suggesting, that we postpone this issue and not include it with our memo, and that we do further research, and that we submit a separate recommendation on this issue at a subsequent meeting. And so, do you want to make a motion to that effect or not?
I do not want to make a motion to that effect necessarily. Well, there's a motion on the floor, so I can't not make that motion until this motion has been resolved. But I did have a question about this motion and a question that was brought up by Commissioner Benitez. You said that we are informed whenever there is a complaint. And I think the question she was bringing up is the timing of that information. So
Within 5 days.
okay, so we do, once there's a complaint, within 5 days, we know there's a complaint, even though we may not see it for 6 months or 9 months later. Okay, thank you.
Well, the staff knows whenever a complaint is made, we have 5 days, when the complaint comes to us, we have 5 days to transmit that to the PD, and whenever the PD gets a complaint, they have 5 days to let us know. That's just, well, here, so that is the notification that there is gonna. Yeah, but that's in the implementation ordinance.
So we don't.
Yeah, and so, yeah, but we don't do that, the staff does that. One thing that is not necessarily clear, is, the notification of, internal complaints. Internal complaints or internal investigations. That means that there was not been a complaint, that the department itself has got wind of something and is doing an investigation, and that is not specified. They have to keep us informed of the status of the complaints, but there's not anything in the ordinance that says they have to let us know that they've opened an internal investigation within 5 days. And so that's something we'll have to work out. But anyway, discussion of the motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is that we believe that when those potential conflicts of interest arise, that the commission should request that the city council appoint an investigator independent of the city to investigate those complaints. Commissioner Harvey.
What happened? You might.
So then what would happen if city council refuses? They say no. They could, I mean, they could, from, in their opinion, they could say it's not a conflict or whatever. I'm just saying, what if they don't agree with us?
We don't agree with that. I mean, we don't have the ability to impose any of our recommendations here. They're all subject to the department, and if the city council's happy with having internal affairs investigate itself and investigate the chief, then that's on our elected officials.
Exactly. So again, then we're in the same spot. So then my question is, why are we even taking a chance of giving it to city council? Say, do we within ourselves have the authority or the ability to do so? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I mean, we need to be able to do something.
I don't think we do in terms of.
We'll find out.
We can only do an independent investigation if it falls within one of the items that are specific. Well, in the ordinance, there's a list of criteria for doing an independent investigation. But even if we do an independent investigation, it doesn't mean that internal affairs doesn't still do the investigation. So we do an independent investigation. That's in addition to the internal affairs. What we're saying is internal affairs should not even do that investigation. It should be done by a third party.
I understand that.
We have one public comment on this item, if we can take it before the vote happens.
Okay, I will allow that.
Thank you. Ms. Francine Maxwell, you have 3 minutes.
Francine Maxwell, we have a professional integrity unit that's not professional, and they're not an integrity unit. So when a cop slaps a cop and she goes to her higher ups, she's a sergeant, her husband's a lieutenant. Domestic violence, they investigate each other. For homeboys and homegirls, it goes to the professional integrity unit who sweeps it under the carpet. You are not going to get in the 8th largest city, 5th largest economy, somebody is going to pay for you to get a third party to do this. We do not trust the city attorney. They are the police attorney. They protect the police. The police department works for the mayor. The mayor has all the reports on all the internal things. We have several officers that have sustained findings that are still making overtime. The pension is going to look just 1.4 million. I'm asking for the CPP to do a deep dive right now, just put a plug in it. Do the deep dive of the MOU, police involved shootings. I need you guys to fully understand who investigates whom. So San Diego shoots somebody, the sheriff's department investigates. You need to look at that and get the data. Remember, every investigator at the county district attorney's office is a former San Diego Police Department officer. So do your due diligence, slow down. You don't have to recommend everything, the baby with the bathwater, use whatever analogy you want to. Pull some stuff out right now and do a deep dive. It is very important so that we can gain trust with each other, okay? That MOU speaks volumes right now. When we have Chula Vista investigating a shooting in El Cajon, you need to know and you need to look at that. Because again, you guys can set your own thing, your own course, okay, with the community's help. Again, I'm concerned because you guys gotta understand that when we have a search committee for anything in this city, some of the search committees, CEO of the retired San Diego Police Department. Okay, so when you have that inputting, we have to really just slow down a little bit.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, raise your hand. This concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, and so we have a motion on the floor, and it looks like debate is done here, but there also was a suggestion that we hold off on this one and do further research. Yes.
So I would like to take back my my motion so that we can do further investigation of the best way to do this. I also would like, when we do our minutes, when we send out our minutes for today's meeting, that the public will also get what we have and what we're going over. So that we can have it open to the community as well.
Okay, technically, a person can't withdraw their motion once the discussion has begun without unanimous consent. So is there any objection to having her withdraw her motion? And seeing no objections, then the motion is withdrawn, and we will do further research and do a separate recommendation on this at a subsequent time. Okay, Commissioner Diaz.
I just have a quick question. When there's a violation of civil rights, in say, officer involved shooting or some sort of case that comes about in violation of civil rights, I was under the impression that we have some kind of power to notify the state's attorney or what is the other one, Department of Justice? And how do we do that? I was under the impression that we do have that power. Or do we not?
Yes, we do. We have the ability to do that. Whether or not that would be an option that we have in this case, I don't know. But that's something we can research. And so we will research it, and I'll leave it to the new chair to make sure this doesn't get lost. I think it is a priority item because the issue has arisen in the past. In fact, I think it's on the floor right now. And we need to not have those types of conflict of interest if we're going to have community trust in these investigations. Okay, then that leaves us with the last item. Everybody saw, hopefully, Commissioner Flores's analysis, but in an email to me, he summarized the issues fairly succinctly and also summarized the recommendations fairly succinctly, although it does have some language here that is, what's the word, technical, but people may not understand what it means. Like WCAG 2.1 AA, we have to look at the report to see what that means, anyway, the recommendations that we would make, well, let me just go over what the issues that are, and then I'll turn it over to Commissioner Flores to talk about what the proposed solutions are. So the first has to do with the mobile icons partially off screen, and so when people file from their phone, they can't tap the paperclip icon, so they can't attach evidence. Right now, there's a limit of 3 attachments, 250 megabytes, which is not that much, a single 4K phone clip or a ring segment can be 200 to 300 megabytes. After 3 files, the complainant must either merge the footage, losing quality, or leave evidence out. Third, there's no way currently to add files later. So if no video arises, or a resident has, wants to start a brand new complaint or figure out how to, they have to figure out how to send it to the department USB. Fourth, the PDF forms are untagged and printer independent, so no large print, easy read versions. Individuals who are blind, low vision, or without printer interface face an immediate barrier. Lack of visible ADA TTY VRS, and I'll have to explain what that means too. I know what it means, but you can explain that. And non-Spanish translations, the deaf/HOH or non-English speakers may abandon the process before it begins. And finally, the complaint form itself has a narrative of only 150 characters, which is roughly 250 words, and that's insufficient to fully explain the complex incidents. And before I have Commissioner Flores talk about what the 6 recommendations here mean, I would also like to point out, as somebody mentioned, that our own complaint form is not perfect. Commissioner Flores has also begun to work with our staff to improve that. So even though we're making recommendations to the department, we also are working internally to make sure that what we're asking of the department, we ourselves are doing on our own platform. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Flores to explain the recommendations.
So, thank you all for reading this. I am not just a software engineer. I've spent the last decade working in accessibility. I volunteered at the Braille Institute, where I was an assistant computer teacher, working with people that had low vision or no vision at all. I worked at High Tech High as a one-on-one coach and an academic coach for students that had accessibility needs, and I created various resources for them to be able to accommodate their journey in the classroom. I also worked with the deaf community. I took various sign language classes. And then I also, for the company I currently work for, I was a volunteer coordinator working with various nonprofits, specifically in the accessibility field. And I wrote an accessibility manual for the company I work for. It is worldwide, translated to 50 languages, along with other authors. I know this stuff very well, and my first goal was to make sure that the city website was accessible and equitable in every way possible. Because right now it's not, and it's a joke, it's horrible. And I went through every single way. I reached out to the Braille Institute, I reached out to the Deaf Community Services Institute, I reached out to various individuals who had expertise in this area. And I also did the work with the Braille readers, with various devices, not just an iOS device, which is iPhone, worked with Android devices, with Mac computers, with Microsoft computers across all softwares. I went in depth on the set of standards that you need to even create a mobile app or a website. And I went in depth on the ADA standards required by law, as well as the translation standards required by law. And to see if we were even, meeting the mark on our end with our website, as well as SDPD. And the interesting thing is we have met zero standards beyond having translations in Spanish. And the recommendations here, if you go from 1 through 6, repairing the mobile UI, 70% of people are mobile first. They're using their device to access web pages. Many of them have that as their only means of access to the internet. And that is the majority of people in this city. That as well as, in terms of, working with the types of media, your phone has been, upgraded every year. Or you have a phone that has a camera that, records at a certain megabyte or gigabyte, which is like 4K video or 1080p. And those files, if you were to take 1 minute of a 4K video, that would already meet the mark of 250 megabytes. And that you can do 3 of. But if there's a situation that takes an hour or so, and you have a video, you have multiple videos for people that were there, witnesses on scene, you can't really do much. You can't really, tell the story of what happened. Aside from that, so that's the number 2 on here. You can't submit more evidence. There's no guidance on it. If you look at the, at least the questions asked, where they answer your questions, tell you how the process works, they don't even tell you that. There's no reference to it. There's no way to really do this anonymously at all either. There's no reference to that. I went in and I created an account for myself to test this method out, to test the journey of, the user in this. And it was met with, the PDF, for example, in the complaint intake form is an image. So if you're blind, you can't go elements by elements, which is like, when you have a word, you can go word by word. When you have a sentence, sentence by sentence, you go image by image. When there's text embedded in an image, a Braille reader will not tell you what the word is unless you have something called the alt text, which is a description for whatever is in that image, right? So none of that is available. There's also no ability to have contrast of any of the elements on here. So people that have, visual concerns, they can't access this. If you were to, want to see this or read this in a different language, you can't. You don't have access to translate this document as it's an image. You can't translate something that's an image in this. You can't translate, they should be providing the translations as per law. Because if there's a law that says 5%, if the population is 5%, of the city, like the Spanish community is more than 5% of this city, they should have a translation. That is true for multiple communities here in San Diego. So that is not being met. And the flow of how people understand the journey of their complaint is non-existent. People don't know that there is a case number. People don't know that there is, that people have received their files, that people are looking them over. If they're requesting documents from them, there's no communication on that, aside from a separate email that they may or may not get because the department may choose to go through this complaint process or not, right? And that it's a lack of clarity, a lack of transparency that starts at the beginning. And this does not just lead to, a bad user experience, it leads to overtime. It leads to overtime because you have to keep, the officers keep following up. They have to follow up to get more files from you. They have to follow up to get translators for you. They have to follow up for every piece of this. And when it's hundreds of complaints over the course of, a year, you have a backlog that meets that 365-day mark for when discipline can no longer be, issued. And we see that in Jared Threet's report. You actually see that many of the cases already almost met that threshold, and one went over it. And so this isn't just a guess, this is the reality of it. The user experience that people have in this process is riddled there with error. And the city has ADA compliance offices that support them in this. They have translation offices that can support them with this. They have an IT department that has a specialty in web design, graphic design, that can help them with this. And yet they have not done this. And looking through this as an expert, because this is my expertise, is that I am shocked, I'm concerned, I did everything I could to make sure that I gave them a fair shot. And I, asked everyone else everyone that I worked with on this to, look at this independently of my own criticism. To understand their experience. People that were blind looked at this and gave me. They also had the same experiences that I did. And, that is how this report came to be. To understand how, you know, this board operates, we have to understand how the complaints get to us and how the complaints are handled internally. That's basically it in a nutshell. And if anyone has questions, please let me know.
I had a question with regard to number 5 that says complaint form should be available in multiple languages. Did I understand you correctly in saying that it's required by law to be available if more than 5% of the population speak a particular language?
Yes.
And do you happen to have a list of what those languages are?
I have. Yes, I have them in the report, actually. So they're, language, limited English proficiency languages, communities, Tagalog, Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, Arabic, and San Diego, those would be the primary ones that should be translated. The city council actually does translate them translate their agendas into these languages. So they have the means to do it, and they do it. Aside from that, the specific law is in the report as well. And
When I send this, I will add those specific languages, and so instead of saying multiple languages, I will add a comment saying including but not limited to the ones that are required by law and the ones you just mentioned. But now, if you have any questions, I'll check with you before I do that. Sorry.
No, that's all right. You know, I do want to add, I reached out to Lindsay, the liaison, because there is a limited English proficiency policy internally that says that SCPD should have a language access liaison, and that liaison should be creating a quarterly report that is internal as well as a public facing report annually. And I looked on their website and I could not find it, so I reached out because that is something that they should be, they should be providing to the community to tell us if they're going to meet these standards and what they're doing internally to meet them every year.
You think they're required to do that and they're not doing it now? Okay.
Yeah.
Then would it be appropriate to add a 7th item? And what's that person called?
Sorry, language access liaison.
Okay. And so is there any objection to adding language saying that the department should have a language access liaison? Okay, and I'll check with you on exact wording of that, but is there any objection to adding that as the number 7 to the list here? Okay. And actually you did a pretty good job of explaining that in the terms everybody can understand. Okay, you did a good job. Questions? Any further questions? Yes.
This is related. This is related to the internal affairs complaint form. Is that germane now? They give the address of the Commission on Police Practices. You have that in there?
Yep.
Okay, and they give the phone number
Yep.
as the police phone number?
Yep.
Okay, and there was one other thing. Okay.
We're gonna send the full analysis, so that they're more detailed in the full analysis, and so we will send that as an attachment. With the letter to the chief. Any other questions?
Well, just a suggestion, I really like, number 6, where you talk about making it like, get it done. And I know, the police department, the city is constantly talking about, technology and innovation, and how to get it done. It gets you you have a number, so that means you have a report number. So all of the things, when you put in a complaint, you get the information right back, and then you can also, you follow it. So, I like that you said about going with the get it done, model, but I would like, the specification of that the importance of making it, even as simple as making it an app. Just for, being able to get to it, or even including it in the Get It Done app, Our city is really great on not being able to communicate. The city's website is very confusing, and I'm a commissioner and I still have a lot of issues going through, the website, so it would be really great if we could, get the Get It Done app with all of the community's needs on there. So I would like that to be very clear in the report.
So I added a section called existing city resources untapped, and in that I make note that this is, so Get It Done app is just this code, right? It's programming language, and that programming language is already, owned by the city, and it can be just copied and pasted onto another, design, right? And that doesn't take a few hours, that takes a moment, for a seasoned professional like they have in the IT department. And it takes graphic designer, which they already have, and they can, do this within a day. If they really wanted to, they can do this in a day. And that is something that is easily done. The resources are ample, that they're out there, they're also in the city, so they can pull on them whenever they want. They have the software, which we see because we can pull from the same software. We can request that they have Adobe, they have Adobe XD, which is a website designer, they have Photoshop, they have Illustrator, they have all the websites. They can create this, and they have it, and that's in here.
So, I would like to thank Commissioner Flores for the time and effort for the initiative and the time and effort he put into looking at this. I think it is important and very timely. And so I will accept the motion to approve of the recommendation to the last page with the addition of listing the languages that they're required to have and a item regarding the language assistant liaison, which I can get the wording up from Commissioner Flores. So that's moved by Commissioner Armentrout, seconded by Commissioner Benitez. Any further discussion? Yes.
Based on this motion, what exactly is the action that this commission will be taking?
We'll be adding this to the letter that we're sending to the chief with our recommendations. So the recommendations related to Jerry Treat's report, and we will also include the information here as one of the recommendations.
And the reason I ask is because someone earlier asked the question, are we trying to tread lightly or something? Much of what we find in this report states that the police department is actually functioning outside the law, that there are certain legal requirements they're supposed to be meeting, that they're not meeting. I mean, it's kind of ironic that we're talking about the police department is functioning outside the law, but on the other side, it's not, is it? Yeah, I should have that straight from the record. So the question I'm asking is, to what, I mean, nice to make a recommendation. What is the process to compel the police department to do what it is legally required to do?
Well, the memo will reference the fact that some of these are legal requirements. If they come back and say we're not going to do it, then that's a problem, because then we have the department say we're not going to comply with the law. Then we can take some follow-up action. Hopefully the department won't do that. Hopefully if we say you're not in compliance with the law, they will come back and say we will come into compliance. But if they don't, we have options we can bring to the attention of the city council, or there are different options, but at this point in time, we're recommending to the department that they fix it. And we also need to make sure that we do that internally as well, because our own complaint form has some deficiencies that we need to address as well. Okay, and so
Want to make sure that, the recommendation though is to pull item 12 from your letter, and we'll deal with that at a future agenda.
Yes. And so, we actually already voted on that, so that's not gonna, I'm not gonna reference item number 12 in the letter. Right, yes, and so I'm not gonna mention 12, but I'm not gonna mention 2, because 2 was, we're not going to take any action. But all the other recommendations there, we will be included in the letter. So any further discussion on this one, which is, we have a motion and seconded, further discussion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Are there any opposition? Any abstentions? One abstention, from Commissioner Lawton. And so, that passes unanimously, and I will try to work on this letter and hopefully get it to the, chief by the end of the week, if not by early next week. And then I will leave it to the next chair to follow up to make sure that we receive that within 60 days. And when the next meeting with the chief is scheduled, you can mention, yeah. And I might mention that we were supposed to have a meeting with the chief at the end of May. He had a conflict that arose and suggested that we just, well, because of his schedule, we meet in July. Our interim executive director has contacted the chief staff to see if we can meet this sooner than July. And so hopefully this letter will be sent prior to that next meeting and be one of the items of discussion. Okay, and moving on to the next item on the agenda was another legislative item, and hopefully you all had a chance to click on the link. It's AB 1388, and basically what it does is it's a state law, which is last I checked, it was still in the assembly, but it had no opposition. Nobody voted against it in committee, and it may be on to the state senate by now. Basically, it would preclude police departments from having non-disclosure agreements when they fire an officer for cause. Because now, a lot of departments will have the officer sign a non-disclosure agreement, and then that information never gets reported to the public, and it never gets reported to Post, and so forth, which obviously is not in the public's interest, in my opinion. Additionally, it would make void any existing non-disclosure agreements regarding the abuses that the officer fired. And so this would go through the same process. Hopefully, we'd have a different result. We'll find out. I was a little disappointed that our other one, we just got it at first. We're not going to pursue this. But I do think this is something that the commission ought to weigh in on. So any questions or comments regarding that? And if not, I'll entertain a motion. Is there any motion to support AB 1388? Okay, Commissioner Lawton and seconded by Commissioner Byer. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Those are good, unanimous. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Was there any public comment? I apologize. Did you want to make a public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, even though we've already voted, let's go ahead and
Pretty much the state guys. So my name is Paloma Serna. I'm with Saving Lives in Custody in North County Equity and Justice Coalition. Please join us. We also wrote letters to support this bill, AB 1388. Is a vital step toward this disrupting the culture of secrecy that enables it, that enables the law enforcement to withhold, like you stated, information, to the public by prohibiting confidentiality clauses and settlement agreement relates to officer misconduct and strengthening reporting requirements to the Commission of Peace Officer Standards and Training, which we know is POST. This bill helps ensure that serious violation cannot be hidden from the public or oversight bodies. When families like ours seek justice for the preventable deaths of our loved ones, we are too often met with silence, legal roadblocks, or settlement tied to gag orders. These restrictions not only re-traumatize family, but also shield systemic misconduct from being fully exposed. AB 1388 affirms that truth and transparency are in the public's interest, not silence. And also too, you know, this board really, you know, with this step of you guys supporting this bill, it will give you guys more teeth. You know, you need to have your own council, not the city. Because remember your mission. The commission's mission is to hold law enforcement accountability to the community and increase community trust in the law enforcement, resulting in increased safety for both the community and law enforcement. Thank you.
And I apologize for not calling on you before we vote, but next we have standing committee reports, and just as an aside, we talked at the executive committee meeting about in the future asking both the executive committee and the commission meetings that we have the committees submit their reports in writing, and that'll make the meetings run more quickly, but we're not doing that yet, and so we'll go through the standing committee reports, and if I could have each of them and give their report.
The Rules Committee has been meeting monthly, and we are, as mentioned, doing a major revamp of the bylaws. If you have any, based on the current bylaws, if you have any requests or things that you believe need to be changed, please send me an email, bring it to my attention. I'm hoping that we can have the revised bylaws back to the commission no later than the September meeting.
It's the next meeting of the Rules Committee.
It is next Wednesday.
Yes, so I thought it was.
At 4:30.
Yeah, okay. Community Outreach Committee, Commissioner, is there any public comment? Okay.
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
And as a point of order, how will the community be able to participate in this meeting? We did not identify at this point if it's going to be a virtual meeting, and we did not identify a location and time. So how will the community participate in this meeting?
All standing committees meet in person. I think all of them are meeting at the office, and there is a agenda on our website with the Zoom link. And we have had several members of the public and other commissioners who have attended some of our standing committee meetings virtually.
It's the case for all standing committees, so all of everything gets noticed days in advance. Zoom link is made available, and you can attend in person if you are able.
With the caveat that we can't have a majority of the commission present and committee. Report for community outreach.
Yeah, the outreach committee met on May 15th, and our next meeting is June 12th at 525 B Street, 17th floor. We're going to continue working on our long-term, short-term goals to have them clearly specified. We're going to continue to work on the calendar that community engagement coordinator has put together. It's really nice. We need to work on it some more, so everyone knows when we have presentations or appearances, we can participate. We're going to continue with our website review because, as Commissioner Flores has pointed out, lots of work to be done, and those are the highlights.
Any public comment?
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, raise your hand now. This concludes a public comment on this item. Thank you.
Policy Committee.
Robinson is reporting for our policy committee. We are really excited. We have, I've worked with our policy manager, Aaron Burgess, on our plans. We're having our first meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and we are reviewing our 12 policy areas selected for strategic review. We're going to do a walkthrough, oversight of, the findings on the Jerry Threets report. We begin, grouping related issues into, thematic clusters to guide committee workflow, confirm the date and goals for the summary policy retreat. We begin initial conversation around commission roles, research interest, and public hearings. So basically, our first meeting is to organize our work. And we are planning to have a retreat. Once we organize that, we're gonna have a second meeting. And that, we actually have a date on that, which is June 26th at 5 o'clock. And that's where we will plan the agenda for our retreat so that all of us can get together and go over our calendar for our policy, I guess we're calling them town halls, but we're being strategic in how we're going to get the information out to the public and making sure that each commissioner is working on their focus of interest. And we're definitely going beyond our findings, the findings from 3, and actually nationwide looking for best practices on things that are working to make our policy ready for the community. So, and that's it. I'm really excited. Any questions?
Okay, any public comment on that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Did we at the last meeting say, right? Commissioner Armentrout here. Did we say at the last meeting we were gonna do a form where we could provide just a simple, easy form so we could provide to the policy committee? Remember, didn't we talk about that? Mentioned in this clerk.
Yes, okay, yes. Yeah, the suggestion was that if issues arise as part of our case review or other commission business, that any commissioner can make a referral to the policy committee. So if they have an issue that they would like the policy committee to address, we would have a form for doing that. The CRB used to have that form, and the suggestion was that our policy manager develop that form, and so it basically would be anytime an issue arises through our case review or just our regular business that we have something we would like for the policy committee to look at, that we have a form so that we can make a referral, and any commissioner would have the ability to make a referral. Okay, and so any public comment?
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
Okay, next is the recruitment committee, Commissioner Flores.
Hey, everyone. So I have a series, well, I have a recommendation for the policy, for the initial policy, and that's with Bart's right now, as well as with Aaron, and I got feedback from Doug on it. The plan is really just to listen right now and see the process as it's happening with city council. As you know, right now is the best time to really understand if this process is working, if it's something that we should adopt certain aspects of, or if we should change entirely. And there are some standards that we want to work towards that are detailed in the recruitment policy that I've created, as well as a timeline, a visual timeline that goes by month, and how we can, you know, go about this year by year over year. So something that is solid, something that we can build off of year to year is important. And the first meeting I would like to have is going to be in July, because I would really want, you know, the members of this committee to listen and observe this process as it's happening now before we meet. And I would really love to know how this policy is structured and if it, you know, it builds that solid foundation. But that is the report.
Yeah. Questions or public comment? Questions?
This is the recruitment committee. If I may ask quickly, who are the members of the recruitment committee?
Ben Long, Stephen Chatsky, and Lupe Lozano Diaz.
And I'm bringing it up because I heard you say you wanted to have your first meeting in July. But I also heard you say that there's substantial work being done. And as this is a standing committee, it would seem that you would need to have some of that work done in public, at a public meeting, so that the public can know what work is being done. So we can make sure that we're meeting Brown Act. I mean, you're doing work, that's great, and it can be on the website, et cetera, but there are discussions and there is information that I think the public would need to have that would be appropriate for a public meeting as the work is being done, as opposed to let's hold a meeting 2 months later after the work has been done.
Got it. And my thought process on this is solely to have a discussion with the commissioners and have, a foundation for us to build on. Nothing's, created that's the plan, that is what we're gonna do. There are resources from the CRB that no longer exist, and to recreate just that process that has already existed, and to really understand how to, build that foundation so that we're not, trying to build everything, we don't have to recreate the wheel. I would like to have us start off strong, and I agree, to be transparent with it in the next meeting would be to go over that entire process of how we're going about this. And nothing is created that is permanent right now.
Just so I follow up on that, I think what Commissioner Flores has done is you alone have developed kind of this policy guideline that you want to do. You've sent it to myself as general counsel and the interim executive director. I think one other person on our staff, your policy manager, and Doug, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah. So he hasn't shared it with anyone else in the committee. So there hasn't been any deliberation outside that would be a violation of the Brown Act. And just to make sure that Commissioner Forrest knows that, I think what he's saying is that he wants to develop a platform before he has the first deliberations on it in the July meeting. Is that correct? Okay.
I have some new information regarding the process. If you see me after the meeting, I'll tell you what that is. It's not good news, but it's out to share it. Any public comment on the recruitment committee?
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
And the training and the continuing education committee,
Darlene Walnut here for the Training and Continuing Education Committee. Just as a reminder, we are not meeting and really doing anything. But just to give you an update, the full commission did approve onboarding training. We called it a training academy. That information has been shared with our interim executive director in anticipation of our new commissioners needing to be onboarded. And I'm awaiting the interim director getting back to me on any tweaks we might want to do for that. And then also there's a Nicole training coming up that one of our staff members is going to be participating in, and we can share that information with the full commission afterwards. And any commissioners that want to join that training, we're sending an email in case they want to do that. So I'm giving you a heads up. And then I think I do need to connect with the interim executive director about when we can actually start meeting again to start moving forward with training issues. So that's like.
any public comment on that?
We have no in-person public comment. If you're joining us virtually, raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
Next, we have our two ad hoc committees. The first is the Operating Procedures Committee. The good news is that we met before City Council yesterday, Bart and I, and the City Council unanimously moved to refer the basically to begin the meet and confer process. And the Human Resources Department didn't delay. They sent out a notification to actually all the city unions, just in case any of them have a issue, and actually heard back, same day from, POA saying they do want to be involved. It's not a surprise, but also from MBA. But the process finally has begun, and, so the meetings will commence, sometime in the near future. These will be meetings between, the, city's, labor relations staff, and, the, representatives from respective unions. The city attorney's office, will be there, represented by Joan Dawson, who is the person who handles the commission issues. And our own, interim executive director and general counsel will be there, as possible. They're not negotiators, but they're there as a resource for the negotiations, and we'll see, how long this takes. Hopefully it will not be as long as you feel. If you give me a look like questioning, nope, okay. Yes, any questions? Yes.
Are we still sitting in the other room? We as commissioners, and we have.
Oh, yes. So if there are any issues that come up where they want to get commission feedback, then where our general counsel doesn't know what the position of the commission is, then yes, we do have our ad hoc committee, which you're a member of, and so if there are any issues that come up, then Bart will bring that to the ad hoc committee, and that is a confidential committee because we can't discuss that. And just as a reminder, I chair that. You're on it. Armando is on it. Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Benitez. Oh, are you on it?
I'm on it.
Commissioner Byer is on it, and Commissioner Teske on it as well. Okay.
It is our council apprised of this?
Yes. Yes. Okay. And any questions? I mean, any public comment on that? I'm sorry. Got a question? Yes.
I was just wondering what the second organization, the second union you said?
It's MEA, which stands for Municipal Employees Association. And I think they may represent dispatchers or administrative staff of the department. I'm not sure that the operating procedures affects them, but they want to go through them just to be sure. But I think, 95% of the meet and confer, if not more, will be with the POA. Okay, any public comment?
Yes, we have one in-person public comment from Ms. Maxine Franceville.
My name.
Sorry, Francine Maxwell.
Francine Maxwell, I just want to ask the commissioner, the commission to do your due diligence. The POA has already shared that, they are just for the meet and confer. And so we want to take them up on their offer. And we want to make sure that 45 days out, you check in with them. What is the date? And so we want you to make sure, because we talk to the POA and we talk to officers as a community. And we know that they say one thing and they do another. And so you have the opportunity to ask 45 days out every 45 days. And so that's what we're looking for, because again, no one is looking for the commission to almost be up and running in full until 2028. Our community can't stand and wait until 2028. So anything that we can do to help push that along faster. And remember, we have elected officials that don't like bad press. So you guys need to get together more and release some press releases. You can see as a community, we do Facebook Live and we can have almost 1.2 people looking at our Facebook Lives. So we want to come together and we want to hold people accountable expeditiously on our meet and confer. And we can do this, we can kick that can a whole lot faster. So we just want to make sure that you understand where the community is coming from. We do not want to be adversarial with the CPP at all. We want to work in conjunction along with, we want to walk beside you, pushing you a little faster. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes in-person public comment. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
Okay, and our second ad hoc committee is the Personnel Committee.
So the big agenda item for the ad hoc personnel committee is hiring a new executive director. And we're waiting on the city to tell us when the kickoff committee can be. The council president LaCava and council member Foster have agreed to serve with us. There's 4 commissioners on the committee, myself, Hopes Honore, Bonnie Benitez, John Armentrout, and Dwayne Harvey as an alternate. The trick is getting a good date for that kickoff meeting. I tried to be proactive and reached out to everybody about vacation schedules, and I pitched those dates to the council president's office. None of those dates are good. And at 4 o'clock today, I finally heard back from them that they will get back to me tomorrow with some alternative dates. Yes.
Questions for Commissioner Moment? Is there any public comment?
We have no in-person public comment on this item. If you're joining us virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand now. This concludes public comment on this item. Thank you.
Okay, then we will now move into our second section of non-agenda public comment. If you wish to speak on something not on the agenda, you can speak now. If you spoke on non-agenda public comment earlier, you can't speak a second time. So is there any additional non-agenda public comment? You can, and you cannot. You can only speak once per meeting for non-agenda public comment.
I have no request to speak on non-agenda public comment in person. If you're joining us virtually and would like to give a non-agenda public comment, please raise your hand now using the raise hand feature in the Zoom. This concludes non-agenda public comment. Thank you.
Our next item is commissioner comments. Are there any commissioners who wish to comment on anything? Including ride-alongs, Commissioner Flores.
I just want to, see what we are gonna do about, the Christie Armand case. I would like to address, what, they've come in for and advocated for these past few months since I've been here. And I would look to see if we can put that on an agenda or look into it. I don't know exactly what we can do, but I just wanted to throw it out there to see if we can help support them and the community in addressing these issues.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, Commissioner Armentrout.
2 things real quick. I am doing another ride along on Tuesday next week with the homeless outreach team, one of the specialty groups. I'm excited about that. I've never done one of the specialty divisions or departments within the department, so I'm interested to see what they do. Also, I had a little bit of a concern that I mentioned earlier. There was some material sent out with the agenda that appeared to come from us. And it was a packet of material from a community member, and it wasn't from the commission itself. So just so people know that it was a community member's written statement, which is great. But it looked like it came out as officially from the CPP, and it was not from the CPP. It was from a community member.
Well, and actually, maybe we can, I know we've already approved the minutes, but if it's okay, if you can make a note in the minutes where that community member spoke and then put C attachment so people know that that's an attachment that came from the community member and not from the commission. Well, I'd like to make a commissioner comment, and that is congratulations to all the new officers. Really excited about what lies ahead. And I'm also excited about item 14, which is adjournment. Is there any objection to adjourning? We got a lot accomplished tonight, elected officers, and made some significant recommendations regarding the SDPD's complaint investigation systems. We got a lot accomplished tonight, and if there's no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.